Welcome to Laughter Revolution. I'm your host, Marla Simlet, and this podcast is built on the simple belief that while life can be heavy, getting through it doesn't always have to be. Because laughter. Now, today's episode is extra special because it's my first on the road interview, and I'm super excited about it. As you know, I was recently in Scotland, where I have to say a piece of my heart remains. A piece of my heart will always be in the Scottish Highlands. But I've moved on. Um, I'm in Oslo now, but I am speaking to somebody from Scotland. I was fortunate enough to meet and get to stay with my guest, whose infectious laughter and love of life. When I was trying to think, who will I interview from Scotland? It was just a no-brainer. So I'd like to introduce Jenny Drever. She's coming to us from Orkney Island in the north of Scotland, from Finstown. And she was my Airbnb host during the 4 days that I spent there last week. So thanks, Jenny, for being here. I was so excited that you were willing to come on and have some giggles and fun with me.
You didn't need to ask me twice.
Now, you were from Orkney, born and bred.
I am.
Yeah. So tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy, that's quite a big question to go straight into. Um, I actually have no idea how to describe myself. I'm just me.
And
I was born and raised in Finstown, where I live right now. I left when I was 18 and moved to Aberdeen to go to university, stayed there 7 years. And when I left at 18, I was like, I'm never coming back to Orkney. This is a total shithole. Am I allowed to swear in this?
yes.
Oh, thank God. And I was like, never will I ever come back. And then fast forward 7 years, I was like, what was I talking about? I love Orkney.
Yeah. Those our 18-year-old self doesn't always know what the
No,
real deal is.
that's true. And I think you appreciate all the things that you hate when you get older anyway. So
Yeah.
a lot of the things that I was like, oh my God, nothing's going on here. I can't stand it. Now I'm like running home to get my pajamas on after work, being like, I love that nothing's going on right now. Fantastic. So yes, that's really most of my family is still in Orkney, bar a brother that is in Canada. And I have another brother that lives in Aberdeen.
Yeah.
So that is really me. I live by myself with my dog Peaks.
Yes, I have met
There you
Peaks and love Peaks. A little bit of my heart is still with Peaks, but I have to say, she's a little bit of a tramp because the last night I was there, I didn't see you in the morning, but I think
go.
you know the story. You were out, she came to bed with me,
Yeah,
all happy and had to be there. And then
yeah.
the moment you weren't even in the door, and she was up and out and gone. And I have to say, my heart was a little bit broken.
Look, I don't want to offend you, but she is a bit of a hoe, okay? And every guest, she is all over them, and she has no self-respect. She is lying on
Oh.
the floor. She is showing her puggy. She is giving her withering eyes. I'm like, have a bit of self-respect, woman. This is wild. And then the minute they do go, oh my God, you're the loveliest dog in the world, she's like, yeah, see you later. I'm
Oh,
off with Jenny. So
oh,
she likes to
yeah,
lure you in. And I'd
yeah,
like to say that I hate that behavior, but I love being her number one. So
yeah, I guess I'm okay. So I can no longer feel special. I'm going to delete her picture from my phone and I'm just going to
yeah,
move on.
I hate to drop you down so hard, but that is
Yeah,
exactly what
yeah.
she is
It's a
like
little bit
with
harsh.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah. But she is a stray. So maybe she's trampy because, maybe she just thinks she's with me for now and then she's going to fuck off with someone else.
that's
She might be
right.
picking out the perfect guest that she likes more than me. And then she'll be saying, adios, see you later. I
There
wouldn't
you
put it
go.
past her.
Apparently that wasn't me,
No.
but you let me know. Let me know who wins over me.
Maybe you didn't have a car.
I
So
didn't.
there you go, the transport. She
Yeah.
is quite a lazy diva as well. She's a bit like me. She likes her life a luxury.
So that's a great segue. One of the questions I was going to ask you was because you have a pet, and what role does having a pet, or how do you think a pet helps you? Because you've got a joie de vivre, you've got a really positive outlook on life. That's my impression from staying with you for 4 days. How does
Love
a
that.
pet help you with that, or does Peaks help with that?
With Airbnb, sometimes she's golden because you get a lot of people saying, I want to come and stay with you because I like the look of your dog. It is good. However, other times she does have a weird sick side to her that she wants to just really ruin my life sometimes. Like the positions that she puts me in. I think when I first started Airbnb, and I had a lovely old couple, they were probably late 60s, early 70s, and they were avid bird watchers, right?
Right.
So really quiet, delicate, lovely people. I think they were from Switzerland, just lovely. And, they came in and they introduced themselves and they gave the dog a pet and all that, and that was fine. And now what Peaks doesn't like is loud bangs, like fireworks or gunshots. Other than that, she's pretty chill. But one in the morning, I think it was 4 a.m. in the morning, there were geese shooters outside
Oh.
my house. So bang, bang, bang. So of course she was up and she was having a Hairy Mary and she was jumping around and she was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was like, calm down, dear. I'll put you out for a pee. You're fine. So I went downstairs with her and put her out for a pee. Now I will say at this point, I didn't have locks on my doors, on the bedroom doors. I just hadn't gotten round to that. So it was all a very trusted environment, might I say, for them as well as me, because they could have been killing me and I could have been killing them. Who knows? However, I think they'll probably have learnt their lesson from this story, because whilst we were downstairs, she went for a pee and we came back up. And as we were going upstairs, there was another gunshot. So Peak shot straight upstairs and she head butted into their room instead of mine. And
Oh
she
no.
jumped on them when they were sleeping.
Oh
So I was like, holy shit.
no.
And they were like up in the morning, like, what is going on? And I was like, pigs. So
Oh
I'm running in,
no.
and I'm only in my dressing gown. So I'm running in, trying to be quiet because it's boring. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Pigs. And of course, Peak, a beautiful trait is when she's in trouble, she just likes to play dead, which I don't know why, but she just thinks this is the time to play dead and she'll never be angry at me. So she just went limp. So there
Oh
I am
no.
in their bedroom, hovering over them in the dark, trying to pull my dead, limp dog off their bed by her collar, being like, I'm so sorry.
Oh
Literally dragging her off the
no.
bed. So that next morning, it was a very awkward morning. And I knew from then, this is not going to be a 5-star review, Jenny.
And it's time to get some locks on the doors.
It's time to get, and that was a good moral, because you live and learn. Do you know what? If that hadn't
Exactly.
happened, I wouldn't have put a lock on the door. They're probably in therapy right now, but it's probably helped them too.
So
It's
when
a
I how does peaks bring laughter into your life? There is a fine example right
that is a
there.
very good
That's
example.
such a great story. So what talking about laughter again, because that's my thing. This is laughter
You do like to
revolution.
laugh. I've
What
heard that.
role does laughter play in your life?
I just think if you don't have a life with laughter, what is that? What kind of life is that? I mean, you have to learn. Well, you don't have to learn. It should come naturally. But if it doesn't come naturally, that's definitely one skill that you should absolutely learn to have, is to laugh. Because if you can't laugh at yourself and if you can't laugh at a situation that you're in, you are probably doomed. Not to sound super, but like that is a sad life. I mean, I think like we were very much raised that you just got on with stuff. You just got on with it. And probably through that way, and our attitudes are to have dry sense of humors and that is to laugh. And I think that's a fantastic skill to have, because you might be facing the worst thing, but if you can find one glimmer to laugh about it, you're halfway through solving your problem. You're halfway getting through that hurdle over that hill. Like if you are focused, I always say, it's great that we talk about mental health these days. That is fantastic. Let's no one shoot me about that, okay? I think that is a great thing because it's what was missing. However, sometimes I think, as in before, we didn't talk about it enough. Now maybe we talk about it too much. Because I think when you do talk about it too much, you are at risk of dwelling on your
Mm,
unhappiness, and that opens a rabbit hole. And if you dwell and you go down that rabbit hole, there's no way getting out. Whereas
yeah,
if you can find a way to laugh about a terrible situation and you can find humor in it, you are halfway overcoming that. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? That is going to be a great story at some point, or it's going to be a story of triumph or something like that.
yes,
But you have to learn to laugh about it, and you
yeah,
have to learn to distract yourself as well. Like I always say, like, if you imagine your problems like balloons that you're holding on to, and you're busy and you look somewhere else because you have to distract yourself and that balloon flies away from your hand. Well, soon enough, you're looking up going, oh yeah, I forgot I was holding that. It's up in the sky. It's
yeah,
good. If you can laugh and chuckle and let them go,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
I
that's
think
right on. That's why one of the reasons I wanted us to have this chat, because we're so in line with our thinking on that. Because number one, as you say, I mean, I talk about laughter allows your defenses to go down, right? So
yeah,
if you're caught in a spiral or a rabbit hole of negativity, you throw some laughter in there and it disrupts, right? It's just enough of a
mhm,
reset sometimes to give you the positive energy or the positive thoughts that will help you then move out of that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, in that line, I would say that laughter also is a defense. Like, not to like, yes, it breaks it down, but also it defends you as well. If you're in an uncomfortable situation and you're thinking, God, how am I getting out of this? You make a joke out of it. Someone might be in your face and and you're like, oh God, this is a really awkward situation. You turn it on them and you turn it into a joke. All of a sudden you've got the power. You're
Yeah.
laughing. People are laughing with you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, I think nowadays, and it's funny because, you could argue that past times we had a lot harder way of life, a lot tougher way of life. Now we're in a very luxurious way, and it's almost like it's too difficult now. And is it because we've lost the ability to laugh? Is it because on like in some sort of way, if you laugh at yourself, you're doing yourself an injustice? Someone's judging you for it. Someone's saying what's the defense mechanism? Yeah, it might
Mhm.
be. Why not? That's a
Yeah.
great defense mechanism. And that's a
Yeah.
great way at looking back and saying, but you shouldn't find that funny because that was terrible. Yeah, it doesn't take away that it wasn't terrible, but to find laughter in it, to find humor in it, that's a fantastic way. That's a fantastic mindset.
Yeah.
So I think you should roll with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There is, it's interesting. Some researcher that I've read has talked about four different kinds of laughter, and one of them is that self-deprecating laughter. And they've said it's really good unless you're putting yourself in kind of a victim position or you're doing it to make other people feel better. Do you know what I mean? But
Okay, yeah.
I think the way that we're talking about it, it's more, you can make fun of yourself. You're not making fun of yourself because you don't have a high self-esteem or because you're trying to put yourself down, but I mean, I think people who can use self-deprecating humor really well have really good sense of self and have a really strong positive outlook, or else you couldn't do it, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And
Yeah.
it's funny because, like, I will often say, things like I was looking 10 out of 10 today in my outfit at work. I must say it was what you would call a pantsuit, a
Ooh,
pantsuit.
a pantsuit.
Yeah, yeah, I was rocking one of those from Shein, would you believe it? Beautiful blue, nailing it. And I came in and everyone said, you look nice today. And I said, I know, 10 out of 10. Would you believe it? Here I am, Beyonce out of the way. Who knew she worked here? And everyone was like, ha, 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 ha. But I was like, I'm in 110% serious here. I know how good I'm looking. So I don't feel like, and I am a funny one in my family. And it's funny because they say, does she make a joke out of it because she's insecure? My sister would be the first one to say, no, 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 absolutely not one stitch insecurity on her. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, another question. How would
Hit
you
me.
describe Scottish humor?
Very, very dry.
Okay.
And we're quick. I would say, like, I don't know. Scottish humor is like a bounce back. Like, when you're doing really well, like if you don't necessarily know someone and you start having a bit of banter, as we would call it, and you might say a funny, humorous step or something, and they might hit you back, and then you might be like, oh, we're playing well here. So you hit back with another. And it goes back and forth. And that's really when you understand if you like someone or not. I
Ah,
mean,
okay.
I think that's like a personality thing, like when like, oh, we're on the same level here. You
Yeah.
might say something a bit silly to someone. Um, so I was at a bar, would you believe it, a couple of weeks ago, and it was quite noisy. And I went in, and the man behind the bar said, what would you like? And I said, can I have a white wine, please? And he said, no bother. And he said, I've only got Chardonnay or Pinot. And I said, Sauvignon, please. Because I didn't hear what he said at all because it was so noisy, but I knew he said something and I took the risk that it was probably going to be, what kind of wine would you like? Didn't realize. So he looked at me a bit funny. And then he said, Pinot or Chardonnay? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, Sauvignon. And then he looked at me and I went, and then he went, oh. let me just get you that Sauvignon. And he poured me a Pinot, which I was like, we're on the same level here. This is funny. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So immediately I got that. However, if he had looked at me weird and he had said, I said Chardonnay or Pinot, I would have said, I'll have a beer. Calm down. Not that I'd ever have a beer, but I'd have said something like that just to throw him off course,
Yeah.
because that's the dry humor.
Yeah. So explain to me the pylons on the heads of the statues.
The what on the what?
Oh, you don't know about this, maybe?
The the what on the what?
Pylons. You know those orange cones that you have when there's traffic things? You
And
know what I mean?
yeah,
So when I was in Stromness, I
yeah,
saw one and took a picture of one. It was on a statue. And I
yeah,
thought, oh, isn't that funny? And they've just left that there. And then I saw them all over Edinburgh. And I looked it up, and apparently it's a Scottish thing. It started in Glasgow, and
yeah,
somebody put a pylon on the head of a statue as a joke, and then they took it down and it kept showing up again, so they left it.
yeah.
And at one point, they decided they wanted to make it like outlaw it and say you can't do that anymore. And there was such an uproar that they have to leave it. And now that's just apparently a thing all across Scotland. Didn't
I
know
love
about.
I didn't know that they tried to outlaw it. I do
Yeah.
know now that the cone, yeah, it makes sense. I just thought that was Scottish banter. I think that's just like drunk guys being like, look at me climbing a statue, and then someone saying, do you know what would be even funnier? If you want to put an old cone on it. I remember at uni days, it was quite a fun thing if you could pinch a cone from
Ah,
roadworks and take it home with you. We had one of those orange cones in the front garden of Talisman Road in Aberdeen for many years, and we were very
wow.
proud of it. We were
Yeah.
very proud. Yeah.
So the Scots like their orange cones, is what I'm hearing from that.
Yeah. I think we just like to do something that is so silly that may be illegal. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? It's silliness and it's funny. It's harmless
Yeah.
and it's silly, but that it always incurs a good laugh.
And I love the silliness. And I'm going to tell this story because was one of the reasons why I was like, I need to get Jenny on the show. When I was at your place and we were talking about gooseberries,
Oh,
and I had said I'd never had a gooseberry and I couldn't believe
wild.
it. And I was like, because we don't have them in Canada. And then I looked them up and realized that I was a crappy Canadian because they are native to Canada,
That
but
was
I'd
quite
never had one.
embarrassing for you.
And then I was upstairs and all of a sudden I heard this scream, Marla,
Ah,
come guess what? And I'm like, oh my God, what? And I came running downstairs and you had found a gooseberry. And I
oh,
was like, this is a woman for me, that you can get that excited. And gave me, I mean, there was two, so you had one and I had one, but gave me the gooseberry. And
sharing is caring.
what was that?
Sharing is caring.
That's right. Sharon is Karen. So yeah, I love the silliness and I actually found that when I mean, I talked to a lot of people when I was in Scotland at bus stops because I spent a lot of time at bus stops
Yeah.
and on the bus, and I was talking to bus drivers. And when I could understand them, because I'll admit there was sometimes there was a bus driver that had a Glasgow accent. And honest to God, I was just smiling and nodding the whole time because I couldn't understand. And every once in a while he'd look like he had said something funny, and I go because I couldn't understand a word he said. But there was that silliness, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons, because I'm like that. I'm very kind of silly and like the absurd, and I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much there.
Oh, yeah. We all like our silliness. And might I say, I was elated about this gooseberry because I bought that bush 2 years ago, and last year it never flourished, and I was majorly disappointed. And I do rhubarb wine, so I wanted to do gooseberry wine. Anyway, when those two PD gooseberries appeared and I was high as a kite, I went to my sister's after and I burst through the door and I was like, Carly, you'll never guess what's happened. And she was like, oh my God, like, have we won the lottery? Like, have we gotten laid? What's happened here? And I was like, I found a gooseberry on my bush. And she was like, please rephrase it. And I was like, my gooseberry bush has laid gooseberries. And she was like, still not the right term.
Try
And I was
again.
like,
Keep
okay,
trying.
gooseberry gin is coming. And she was like, there we go.
Nice. How many gooseberries
So
do you think you need for gooseberry gin?
probably about a bazillion.
Yeah, probably more than two.
Yeah, probably more than two. But I saw a cheeky one appear today. So I was low-key trying not to get excited and telling the whole family on the family chat again. But I was like, shit's getting wild. Summer is here. The gooseberries are out. Jenny's gin is going to be flowing.
I love it.
Cannot wait.
I love it. Okay, so we're getting close to the end. Let me see. I have another question. Oh, when was the last time that you laughed so hard that you either peed yourself, couldn't stop laughing, or spit tea, wine, or water out of your nose?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, number 1 and 3 does not exist because I am a lady. So I don't do any
Oh,
of that.
sorry. I guess that's just me.
All right. These things happen. That's okay. When was the last time I laughed so hard? Now, it wasn't that long ago because I remember it was something really silly with my brother Robbie. And will I remember it? I will not. Oh, and it was really silly because I was sitting at my sister's and me and Robbie we really once we get silly, we just get silly. I think like we revert back to being like 10 and like we'll say something and when we're on the same line, we got into this horrible thing that we're like, ha, ha, that was really funny. And normal people end the laughter there and say, that was good. What a lovely time we've had. Now we both try and do that, but I have quite a high pitched muttly laugh that when I get going, it rumbles in my belly and only comes out as squeaks through my mouth. So I was like, that's been good that that's finished. But then I'd be like, and it would come back, and then he'd be like, Jenny, you stop laughing. And I'm like, it's not even funny. I don't even care anymore. And he go, okay, okay, okay. It'll be 3 seconds. And then someone say, would you want a cup of tea? And I go, and it would come again. And we're awful at bouncing off each other that I've had to like go out of the room, literally leave for a good solid 10, 15 minutes till the conversation has like gone on to something completely different. Because once we get into that silliness, we cannot stop.
Oh, how fabulous is it to have somebody in your life, right? That you have
There
that with.
is nothing better than a full-on puggy laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like when your belly is just having its own little dance of its own and you can't breathe. And that's a weird thing to enjoy a feeling of not being able to breathe. There's probably something wrong in that, but a really nice way of just, you're so tickled. It's so funny that,
Or
yeah,
even isn't that funny, but you get into and it doesn't happen very often. Like, I bet you most people, if you ask them, when was the last time you laughed so hard you couldn't stop? As adults, it doesn't happen that much anymore. And I really think, I mean, so how do you feel after that?
exhausted. Exhausted.
There's
It's
nothing
like
more
a
to it than
workout.
that, though. Why is it so good?
I don't, it sends your endorphins up, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
like, what better way to like use your time than to laugh with someone? And then you like create that memory as well. You share that bond.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing sweeter than that. And it's like the euphoria, whatever that word is after it, when, you're all laughed out and you've had like, you're like, that was nice. That
Yeah.
was a good moment to share. That probably
Yeah.
wasn't the word I was supposed to use,
I don't know
judging by
what
your
word you
facial
were
expression.
looking for, but I get the drift.
Do you know, it's along that. I'm not very good with words, so
But it's
it's
okay. Yeah.
along that way. I
Yeah.
will say I muddle up my words quite a lot, right? I've got the good old dyslexia, dyspraxia, whatever you call it. I can't remember.
Uh,
However, I muddle up my words, and a very good story of that is when me and my sister Carly and my brother Billy and my brother Robbie, we were visiting my granny and we were coming home and you've got to get a ferry to come home. And it was a really rainy day. And so we were plodding down to get onto the boat and it was raining and you had to get a ticket from the ticket man before you went on the boat. And as we were walking down, I realized that there was a hole in my shoe. So my sock was getting wet and it was awful. And as we were walking down, obviously Jenny Drever is first going in and I go to get the ticket and I go, oh no. And I have that sudden realization. And the man goes, what's wrong with you? And I go, oh, I've got a shoe in my hole. And then he looked at me and I was like, holy fuck. And then I remember, like, I realized what I had said. And what made even matters even worse is that I said, no, I meant I've got a shoe in my hole. So I just repeated it with more vigor. And he was like, well, what the hell is that doing in there, lass? And I was like, I do my thing. And like ran on the boat. And of course, I had 3 siblings behind me laughing hysterically. And that must have happened way over 10 years ago. And it still gets brought up at parties. It's still a punchline. And when I turned 30, they sang a song about it. I was like, oh my
The
God.
thing you can always count on with siblings is that
Oh,
they're going to keep bringing it back and
and
bringing it back and bringing it back.
they
That's
will
so
remember
funny.
every little detail of you absolutely embarrassing yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They don't need to ponder on the achievements, on the
Yeah.
great self-improvements or anything like that. That is boring to them. The any time that you have thoroughly embarrassed yourself or really gone above and beyond, that is what they remember. And I still, like, even to that day, I find that hilarious. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? I was like, you've got to laugh about that.
that's so funny. What a great story. And the comeback, too. There's that dry
Oh,
Scottish
yeah.
humor. Yeah.
And that is, yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
that humor is.
I love it. All right. So we're almost out of time. So I am ready for the lightning round, if you are. The
Oh, that
laughter
sounds
revolution
exciting.
lightning round. So, first thing that comes into your head.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Number one, laughter is cheaper than
Wine.
you know you need to laugh when
You need to cry?
the most inappropriate place I've ever had the giggles was.
Oh, God. Funeral.
Anyone in
Yeah.
particular?
No, let's not go into that.
Okay.
Terrible time. Terrible time. The one place is not to laugh is when someone is dead and you know you shouldn't. So, yeah.
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah.
Next, the one thing guaranteed to make me laugh every single time is.
Oh, the one thing to make me laugh every single time is mistakes,
Ah, okay.
injury,
Yours or someone else's?
obviously someone else's.
A day without laughter feels like,
Oh, blue. I don't think I've ever had a day like that, to be honest.
and yet some people do. That makes me sad in my soul.
That is sad. That was very profound. That is sad in my soul.
Okay, and the
Jesus.
last one.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Give me your signature giggle in 3, 2, 1.
It's not even one of those cute, sultry giggles. I am a motley. Like, everyone's like, oh, how endearing when someone's like, I'm like,
Are you a
get
snorter?
one.
This was a
No,
question, it's not on the
'cause
list,
I'm a
but are you a
lady.
snorter?
I would never snort. I'm a lady.
Oh, I'm a snorter.
Oh, dear.
But you
Oh,
don't look down on me. Don't think less of me.
I
'Cause
won't. Do you know what? You put my motley with your snorting, you've got a ringtone if we were back in, 2010. That is a ringtone for your Nokia 3310. Going
Okay.
wild.
You know what? I'm going to get this in the can, and then I'm going to talk to you about ringtones because maybe we can get that going. I think
Yeah.
that'd be a good one. People would buy that.
Oh my God, I like that. What
Yeah.
would you call it though? The Marna Jenny ringtone. So it's got to be the Marnie or
The
the
Jenny,
Jerla
Jerla.
or
We'll, we'll
the
need a little bit of
Mutley
work.
snort. You've got the Mort or the Snutley. Ha!
Snotly.
Snutley.
There you go. All right.
Bam.
Look for it on your ringtone purchasing websites everywhere. I don't know where.
Magic has just
Ringtone.
happened.
Yeah.
And you know what's so new is going back. Retro is coming in. So it's the new thing to go back. Everyone's going to get Nokia 3310s and they are going to be playing what
The
did we call it?
the snotly ringtone.
Snort,
No, the
snort,
snotly ringtone.
snortly ringtone.
Perfect. Jenny, this has been so much fun. I knew it was going to be. Thanks for being here with me today and sharing your laughter and your joy and your positivity and your va 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 voom.
I have enjoyed myself. Thanks for and this is my first podcast.
Well, it may
I
not be
feel
your
I'm a
last.
bit famous.
I think you got a career there for yourself.
Ah, here I go again, I tell you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. And that's it for our episode, everybody. If you enjoyed it and you know that you want more, hit that subscribe button so that you'll get the podcasts every time they come out. And feel free to pass on to the link to anyone you think who needs some giggles with their growth. You can also subscribe to my Laughter Revolution Digest, especially if you want to follow along on my travels, because I've got stories and giggles and pictures. And you can subscribe to that on my website, marlasimlet.com. And keep in mind, I want to hear from you. So what did you think of this episode? Where are you getting stuck? What's making you giggle? Send me pictures, videos, any questions or insights you have, and you can connect with me through Instagram, Facebook, or send me an email at info@marlasimlet.com. Thanks for being here. I'm Marla Simlet, and this was Laughter Revolution. Remember, until next time, laugh more, be well, become your greatest you.